Hello, hello, boys. It's been a long time. It's been a really, really long time. I don't even remember how to do this anymore. I've had this throat thing for the past 2 months or so, and I'm just trying to take it really easy. So I'm gonna try to do this within half an hour. So Dine has asked for a replay analysis. I'm gonna try to do this in half an hour so he can maybe get another replay analysis done. But so we're looking at 3.0, and what he's requested in this particular game where he plays Meepo. Now, I don't know if he plays like this is always hard to look at just games because there's a lot of things that you have to think about, especially when you request a replay of a hero that is so uncommon. Like you should not be whatever you're doing. You should not be spamming Meepo at 3k MMR. But it's like just doesn't matter what you do. If you're trying to gain MMR, and this is the thing, like I don't know if you're trying to gain MMR or if you're just playing Meepo to learn Meepo or what. Because the only information I have is that you wrote that I would really love you to analyze this Meepo game. Um, I'd like you to focus on mid to late game decisions, and I really don't know who to target and what items to go for after 10-minute mark. If you could upload this one onto your YouTube, then I can watch it, etc., etc., etc. So the main thing is that I don't know why you were trying to get a Meepo analysis. Are you just spamming Meepo? In which case, my best advice to you would be to not play Meepo. But are you doing that to get MMR? Because then my advice is to not play Meepo, of course. But if you're not doing it to gain MMR, if you're just doing it to have fun, then whatever. So I'm gonna give you the advice of not playing Meepo at all if you're doing it for MMR, and we're gonna look at this replay from the perspective that you only want to play Meepo, just learn Meepo because it's fun, just because of fun, and I can't really see if this is a ranked game or not. So I don't really want to go into Dota buff or anything like that. So let's just look at the game. You're most likely going to be going mid, and looking at your starting items, there's this. I don't really particularly like these starting items simply because you've got first of all you've got a quelling blade and 100 gold short. Like if you are going to have a quelling blade, first of all, then just buy the two ironwood branches. That'd be pretty decent. And if you the ideal starting items would be a well, in most cases, it will be a Pullman shield. However, in this case, you're up against Zeus, right? So because you're up against Zeus, you don't need a stout shield at all. In fact, what you should have is a magic stick, right? This is 3.0, and you might actually be up against a lifestealer, or even a Doom, or any of these people. But most reasonable to the most reasonable accuracy, you can predict that it'll be a Zeus. So Stout Shield actually has 200 gold that actually does nothing for you. Now, Magic Stick against Zeus for a melee hero like Meepo, not really the best. Not really the best, but your natural magic resistance of Meepo is 35% instead of 25%. So Meepo is one of the better matchups against Zeus, to be honest. So not too bad. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to pull, and that is exactly what you're gonna do. So that's really nice. And then you get a healing salve as well. Now, what it looks to me is that you really didn't think or look at who your enemy is. You just you this is what you do every game. This is sort of what you do. These are your starting items every game, and that's you don't really care. You can't have that attitude. You have to every single game. It doesn't matter what hero you're playing or how many times you played that hero. Every single game, you have to think about if you're going mid, for instance, you have to think about who your mid laner is in the enemy team, and you have to think about if there are enemy roaming heroes in the mid lane. If there are enemy roaming heroes, then you have to um, itemize accordingly. You have to get maybe if your ally has not placed an observer board, you want to get an observer board. That 100 gold ish, that 60 gold is going to be much worth if the observer board catches out a guy and you don't die. Of course, that only works if you actually watch the minimap. And again, at 3.0, I don't know how much minimap you watch or not. So it's a little bit complicated. But point is that you need to be thinking about different items. Ah, my nose. Also, it comes down to if you have any defensive supports. For example, in this game, you actually don't have any defensive supports. I would definitely say, yeah, go for that healing salve, because if you have defensive support, say Dazzle or something. Again, this is maybe a little bit higher level, not 3K, but if you have some defensive support, you can always call on them to come and help you, and you can just rush that, whatever first item, and rely a little bit more on your supports and your roaming Hodge and whatnot. So, but point is, think about your starting items. So far, you're doing not too bad. You're doing pretty well. You're doing pretty well. I think what you wanted to focus on was mid game anyway. So we'll sort of skip through to the mid game. At 5 minutes in, I want to see your last hits. They should be close to. They should be close to. Okay, so they're exactly at 50. So you're at exactly 50% efficiency. Zeus is not exactly the easiest hero to lane against, but that it all comes back to your starting items. That if you had gone for um, better starting items that would equip you to lane against Zeus. I was missing last time. Equip you to lane against Zeus, then you would have had a better lane. In fact, let's skip a little bit more. Go up to 10 minutes. Now, obviously we've skipped a lot and 2 kills have happened, so it's too early in the game. It's also 3k mmr, so what you need to maybe a little bit into the future when you hit maybe 3.5k mmr, hopefully, what you need to start doing very regular, like right here. What are you doing, dude? Go over, look, your team is fighting. This is so huge. This is all right. This is your first big mistake. You pretty much looked on your mini map at what was happening. Right here. All right, let's go back. Zeus ran away. You didn't chase, and your decision to not chase can be argued. But what cannot be argued is that you actually saw Pudge and Rubik right in your screen. No, no, not just on your mini map. You saw them on your screen going towards Zeus. Forget the farm, dude. That is a much bigger. This farm is not going anywhere. If this creep wave was maybe over here, then I would say, okay, this is like 300 gold and it's gonna die to the tower. You're not gonna get it. Whereas the Zeus kill, it's, maybe you get it, maybe you don't get it. It's gonna be the same amount of gold, and I don't know if it's worth it in 3k MR, especially yada yada yada. But right now, this is not even arguable because your allies are going there to attempt to kill. This farm is not going anywhere. Maximum you lose maybe 50 gold or something like that. You definitely should have gone there. Now, even worse is that you took all that farm. This tower is not dying, and you're over here, and you only look at this Zeus guy after he's dead. And instead of you getting that 300 gold, Rubik gets that 300 gold. You know, absolutely horrible. Big, not horrible. I think I'm being a bit too dramatic. I haven't had Dota drama in a while, so um, it's a big mistake. 100%, it's a big mistake. So first thing you need to start doing is um, start looking at the mini map and join your team when there is an opportunity to do so. You're gonna make mistakes. There'll be times when you join your team and it was the wrong time to join, but learn from that. Like, why was it a bad time? Look at why it was a bad time. It could be a bad time because maybe you were diving under a tower or a shrine, for instance. In this case, it was a shrine. So how can that be avoided? Does that mean don't ever dive under a shrine? Or maybe you can look at the mini map and see if you can see people on the mini map. If you can see people on the mini map, then 3 people diving, 1 people under a shrine or even under a tower, it's okay. But if you see that everybody's missing from the minimap or some crucial people are missing from the minimap, people who can kill you, for instance, looking at this lineup, nobody can really kill you. Like 7 minutes in, nobody's gonna have level 6, really dangerous level 6. Actually, other than actually, nobody here has a very dangerous level 6 apart from maybe Lion, but he's a support hero, he's not gonna get level 6 anytime soon. So at this point, you can definitely dive anybody under any tower or shrine. You don't really care about TP. So anyway, so all of these things, these things, you need to train yourself until these things become, you don't even think about these things. These things are automatic. That's I don't know how many hours of Dota you have, but I can guarantee you that most people, like I have that, and I've had that for a very okay, yeah. Oh no, this is yeah. So 2,000 hours is not a lot. I would say another 2,000 hours, and that'll. This is something automatic. But if you focus on it, then it can definitely be in the next 200 games easily. If you focus on it, I mean, I learned it naturally, and if it can be a natural thing, you can definitely accelerate it just by focusing on it. Before when the game starts, sort of visualize that. Okay, who is danger? You need to understand timings, right? Who is dangerous at what point? You know, Lion is dangerous at any given any Lion is dangerous once he gets level 6, to the point when his ult can't kill you anymore. When you've got significant HP items, So I would just off the top of my head, I would say from about 12 minutes to about 20 minutes, Lion is extremely dangerous. So whenever you go for a gank and whenever you're farming or doing whatever, you need to make sure you know where Lion is. You know, obviously this gets more and more difficult when there's more people to look out for. But this is a really easy game because all you really need to look out for is Lion. Everybody else knows Zeus can't kill you. Abaddon, Abaddon, you can just get away from him. You can't kill him. He can't kill you. Well, argues there, some arguments there, but he's not really a threat. Doom, what can you do? You'll doom one person and then you'll kill Doom. So not really an issue. A life stealer, yes, your poof goes through, but he's a melee hero and he can, hit one Meepo at a time, and no, not really. Nobody's really an issue other than Lion for that duration for 12 to 18 minutes, for 12 to 20 minutes ish, depending on when you really at the 20-minute you should have enough HP. You should be getting your enough HP items to not get bursted down by Lion. So um, like right now you're going here. Do you know where Lion is? If you don't know where Lion is, don't go. Like this, you don't know where Lion is. It's maybe he's got level 6. I don't know. Does he have level 6? He doesn't have level 6. Also, it's 3k MMR, so you don't know if Lion is gonna TP or not. But don't take that risk. Right? That's when you start losing. It's not really that great to win against enemies who are shit. Because then you'll just lose every single time to enemies who are better than you. You have to win against enemies who are better than you. Right. Um, so one of your questions was, I don't know what to do past the 10-minute mark. Well, here's the thing, right? It's always really difficult at your MMR to know what to do. You know, should you be pushing? Should you be farming? Should you be taking fights? And to be perfectly honest with you, I actually don't have an answer. Especially on a hero like Meepo. The best answer I can the reason I can't give you an answer is because I'll pause it here because there's a good point to pause. No, the reason I don't have an answer for you is because it totally depends on what your team is doing. If your team is farming, then if your team is farming and you go and push, you will die because your team is farming. They're off the map. They're in secure places. You're the only one showing. You're the only one in sort of enemy territory. Somebody's gonna TP and kill you, right? If you are, if your team is fighting and you are farming, your team is constantly going to be 4v5. Of course, that depends if one of their people is also farming or fighting. But this then comes down to hero matchups. Who's farming? Is their farming person gonna farm more than you, and all of these things? For instance, if you're a Spectre and they've got a life stealer farming, then yeah, definitely you should keep farming. But let's assume you're both even, and their person is not farming and you're farming, that means that your team is constantly 4v5. That means your team is constantly losing fights after fights after fights. Yeah, you're really farmed now because you haven't died and you've been farming, but the rest of your team is shit, and the entire enemy team is quite strong. So whereas you might be stronger than any one of the enemy team members, together they will crush your entire team. All 5v5, you will lose. So it's all things like these. Like you have to figure out, like, is my team farming? Yes, they're all farming. Okay, my entire team is farming, even though the entire enemy team is dead. I'm sorry, you don't have a choice but to stay safe. Like if the entire enemy team is dead, of course, go ahead and push the lane and whatnot. But as soon as they come back alive, you have to get the fuck out because if your team is farming, then you will just lose your life and they will come and push and kill your tower. So my point is, what you should be doing past the 10, 15, 20 minute mark is understanding what your entire team is doing, right? If your entire team is farming, you go and farm. If your entire team is fighting, a little bit of a decision there, but you should generally be taking part in fights with your team. If one of the enemy team members is farming during the time that the rest of the team is fighting, there's a decision you have to make. You have to decide, am I going to farm faster than the enemy carry, than the enemy person who's farming? Or am I going to have am I a later game carry than the enemy carry, right? If the answer is yes, then yeah, you go ahead, keep on farming. If the answer is no, like for example, you're an Ursa and the enemy carry is like an anti-mage, and he's farming, your entire team is, the rest of your team is fighting, the rest of their team is fighting, you need to fight, otherwise you will lose the game. Now translate that to this situation right here, where your entire team, nearly your entire team is fighting here, right? And you're pushing over here. There's also a timing window as well, by the way. This is way too early. But if this was like 40 minutes into the game and this situation was happening, you would be so farmed that within 5 seconds you could take this tower. In that case, I would say yes, it's arguable. You go ahead and take that tower. It's an advantage. Maybe you can push the next tower. But at 12 minutes in the game, you will barely be able to chip this tower down, right? In fact, if you're pushing this wave, it's very likely one person, like clearly one person is coming. One person will come and start fighting you, and then two or three. This looks like Bloodseeker, but Bloodseeker is not in the game. So who the hell is this? Oh, Lifesteal. Yeah, so it's very likely that maybe Lion can TP in here, stun you. This guy starts hitting you, and you die. I actually did not see the Rubik there, but yeah. Point is that you guys should be taking part in these fights. Now, pushing in 3K MMR, what I found is taking towers, pushing towers, taking objectives. Unless your entire team is backing you up, it is the worst idea. Higher level games, it is the best idea. It's completely opposite. It's the same game, but it's the philosophy, the mechanics almost are completely different because there's a big human factor. Anyway, so yeah, I hope that clears up a lot of stuff for you and guides you to what you should be doing. Um, right now, you notice everybody's farming, so what you should be doing is you should be farming, and also the entire map is black. So the other thing that you should be doing is asking very, very politely and gently. You should be asking your Rubik, "Hey man, can you please put some vision down? Can you please put some wards down in key areas?" Um, if you don't want to think about where they should be putting the wards down, just say, "Hey man, can you ward up the rune spots? Or can you ward up near the enemy towers? Like for instance, you can check out my warding video. I don't want to explain too much, but ward near the towers, ward near objectives or something." Now your team was here taking a fight. Huds died. You know, nobody joined. Nobody of your team joined in, so you shouldn't have joined in. Don't go and try and save an ally. That's not what I'm suggesting. I'm suggesting if your team is fighting, take that team fight. Only Pudge died. None of your teammates actually tried to help. So as soon as your teammate is in trouble, don't look at that teammate. Don't look at whether I can save that teammate. Look at, hey, is my team joining that? Is my team going to try and save it? This is, by the way, I'm saying that for you as a mid player. If you're a support, if you're a 3K support, you should be joining that. Because if you join, then your mid player or core player will say, "Oh, yeah, look, the rest of my team is joining, so I should join." See what I'm saying? Like, if you were support here, if you were the Rubik, I would say, yes, you should go. The Rubik should have gone. And as soon as the Rubik goes, you should have been looking over there. You should have been looking at your ally dying and deciding, if my team goes, I will go. As soon as you see an indication that Rubik is going, TP in. And if you see Rubik turning back, if you have time to cancel your TP, cancel your TP. But if you TP, just go back. If you ever, if you, yeah, a lot of the times when I'm playing with my lower level friends, I'll very often TP, and then like literally half the times that I TP to my allies, I will literally cancel my TP because when I TP, I TP immediately, and then as soon as I've TP'd, I start looking, is the rest of my team joining? And if they're not, I'll just cancel my team. Especially because they've seen that I'm TPing as well. They're looking at the minimap and they can see I'm TPing. And even if having that information after like 1.5 seconds of having that information, they don't make any changes to their movements, that means that they either not looking at the minimap or they don't give a shit. So don't join. Don't join those team fights. Right, so you took a tower. I was actually talking, I wasn't really looking at what was happening, but I don't know if it was the right time to take the tower or not. Looked like there were a lot of people on the map that you could see on the map, but I guess should have fog of war at Radiant, really. There we go. So right now you only see Lion. So if this was the case, then it's not really the best idea to be taking a tower when there's only one enemy showing on the map. But I think you did take Lifestealer, kill Lifestealer as well, and you had an ally up there, so it was a good idea to take that tower. What you should be doing right now is looking to join your team in bot in the bottom lane, because one idiot is in the jungle, but you can see Pudge preparing to hook someone over here, and you can see your this Terrorblade is trying to take this tower. So your presence over there is going to be a pretty big deal. And if a fight breaks out, you can turn the numbers on your side, and you can also take the tower down quickly if the enemy team is not coming to join and things like that. Also, you should request the Rubik to. Actually, he's placed a ward over here. That's pretty good. But yeah, at that point, you should not be jungling. You should be taking part. Like right here, you should be here because the enemy team is on your side of the map. You know, your allies are pretty close by. Maybe you can usher them into that fight. Maybe you can say, "Hey guys, come and join this fight. Look, I'm already running. Go, 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 go." You know, whatever. So this, and right now the sad thing is, you might be thinking, or your entire team might be thinking, "Oh my God, this Pudge such an idiot. Feeder Pudge, feeder Pudge." It's not his fault. It's everybody else's fault. Literally everybody else's fault. I think you killed this. You killed the Zeus. Oh, you did kill him. Nice. Wow. Okay, here we go. So this is a very good example of what you shouldn't do. When I said to you, if your ally is dying, don't go in to help him. And this is exactly what I mean. Like, Doom went in to help him. But it would have been a good idea from Doom if Lynette started TPing and, what's his name, Lifestealer started TPing and, Zeus has started TPing, or Zeus is already dying, but if these people had immediately started TPing, and where's Abaddon? If Abaddon was already there or something like that, if that was the case, if everybody starts TPing, yes, then Doom should join. But just when Zeus is here and he's already dead almost and nobody else is joining, yeah, Doom should not have joined. And this is what I mean. When you see your team is not joining, just get back. Just don't go there. Because he didn't know there maybe could have been more people behind you. You could have had 2 or 3 more people. It's actually like it was an undersight from Doom to think that he could have killed Meepo. This is what I was talking about. Like Doom and Zeus and these guys, they're not really a threat to you. The only threat, this is actually a really fantastic game for Meepo actually. Because the only person you need to look out for is Lion, and that too for the next maybe 5 to 10 minutes maximum. After that line, yeah, you don't really care about the line. You can kill him at the beginning of a fight, to be honest. That's the other thing that you asked, like, who should I be focusing on? In this particular game, you should be focusing on the person who is either the biggest threat to you, which would, if you eliminate him, if you can eliminate him, and if you do eliminate him, then that would allow you to reign free. For instance, in this game, if you jump on Lion and you, let's say, immediately hex him, right? If you immediately hex him, which is what you're going for, if you immediately hex him and you kill him, pretty much nobody else can do anything to you. Right? After that, you reign free. It's an ideal game for you, unless Lion buys back. In which case, you should just get the fuck back right away, because Lion can come and earth spike you, and their entire team can kill you. So in this particular scenario, you should go on Lion. But let's say you don't have a hex, and you can't kill Lion immediately. In that case, you should wait. You should wait behind your team until Lion has used his abilities. Until Lion has used his Earth Spike. Really, that's the main one. Right now, yes, his ult is also an issue, but yeah, later on is what I'm talking about. But as soon as later on, like let's say 25, 30 minutes into the game, once you've got enough HP, as soon as he uses his Earth Spike, jump in and kill him. And that after that, pretty much nobody can do anything to you. As long as he hasn't ulted one of your Meepos and he's not terribly low and yada yada yada. But that's what your thinking process should be. Like, I should go and kill the person who's either the biggest. Oh man, the PC just crashed. I was so afraid I would lose 30 minutes of video. I was like, oh no. Anyway, it didn't crash. Everything's fine. Last thing that I'm gonna say for this video is the other thing that you should be thinking about is if I join yeah. So this target person, if I kill him and then I die, if it's worth it for my team, if it's worth it for your team, go for it. For instance, you're a Meepo and the other person is anti-mage, and obviously the anti-mage is, let's say, a fed anti-mage or a strong anti-mage, then you jumping on him, and if you can guarantee 100% that you jump on him and you can kill him, even if you die after that, it might be worth it. So, you know, that's maybe a very situational thing. Oh my god, you got earth spiked by a lion, but actually nothing happened. So, focusing on your target, and not just that, but when you go about another 1,000 or 1,500 or 2,000 MMR higher, another thing that you need to be thinking about is not just the target, but also when you should go on that target during the fight time. For instance, maybe you as a carry need to wait for the engagement to happen and certain things in that engagement to have happened, and only then can you join that team fight. For instance, if they have a black hole, or if they have a tight ravage, or if they have, a hero who can insta kill you or something like that, then it's not just who you should go on, but more like who you should go on after what has happened. So there's a lot of things to consider, but the main thing is that you need to know these things before you join a team fight. And I hope in this video, going on, for instance, in this one, going on the lion, and pretty much in this instance, you can go on the line at any point during a team fight, at the beginning, at the end, whatever. Well, not ideally not at the end, obviously, but you need to go on the line immediately. And this is what's happening. You're here pushing while look at your team. Where's your team? I just farming jungle. Rubik probably was farming jungle and is going back to base. Your Panda's farming jungle, and your Terrorblade is safely farming underneath his tower. Who's the one who's pushing? You are. Who's gonna die? You are. So right now you should be You should be farming. I know why you went to the lane, because everybody else is taking all the rest of the farm. One guy is in this side of the jungle, the other guy is in this side of the jungle, another guy is taking this lane is pushed out, this is the only lane to farm. But you know what? You go and take Pudge's farm, or you go and take Panda's farm, or you go and take this guy's farm. They're going to report you at the end of the game. Fuck them. Who cares? You going here, dying. You know how far that puts you, and how the gold advantage. This is not always the best gold advantage, but it's a 1,000 HP in their favor and 800 gold swing. That's not a lot, honestly. That's not a lot. But you can't just look at that and assess what the total impact is, because what you have to do is you have to wait for the entire duration that you're dead. You have to come back alive, and then you have to look at the graph and see. Right, this is when I died, and this is when, look at this dip. This dip was going in your favor, your radiant or your dire. Wow, after you died, your own team actually got an advantage. So is this right? This is right. What the hell? Lol. I guess in this particular case, you dying was the best thing for your team. This is obviously network. This is obviously something is going on there. Or okay, this is the update. Right, this is the update now. So your team was going up. Your team was going up, and it flatlined because you died. That's what happened. And these graphs sometimes take a while to update. So yeah, so this is the time that you were dead. So you were, but no, this is where you died. This is where you died. This is where you died. It was going in your, I don't know, man. This is completely wrong. This is not how this graph should be like. Yeah, I don't know. It was going in their favor. It was going in the, and then you died. Literally, what this graph says is it was going in their favor. The game was going in their favor. The goal was going in their favor. Then you died, and then it started going in your team's favor. Oh my god. Ah, it might actually be a replay bug. That might be the other way around. The teams might be the other way around, which would make a hell of a lot more sense. And this is not the first time this has happened either. So, oh well, doesn't matter. Point is that you're dead for one whole minute. That whole time, all five of your Meepos or four of your Meepos are not farming, whereas their entire
They
team is
always
farming.
float to
So
the
it's
top
not just that death
eventually.
gold 1,000
Just wait a
difference
minute.
where you get your 1,000 gold swing, but it's also afterwards where they're farming and you're not. That also adds to the gold swing. Anyway, I'm done for this video. Message me on Steam and tell me what you think about this, and give me the next replay that you want me to analyze. Out for the night. See you guys later. Bye bye.